Well, of course, you know this can only be a huge, huge anticlimax. Because what can I say after that? Not a lot. I mean, receiving an award from Annie is actually quite special. I've been with her for 19 years and have been by her side where she's won so many awards I've lost count. And this one that I've received from her means more than anything. So that's special. And thank you to the MMF for thinking of me as someone worthy of this award. You know, that's a special thing to me, and I can't believe I'm here. I try to keep away from these things. I guess it's down to Jazz Summers' persuasive powers. Who can say no to Jazz Summers? Actually, Lucy and Grange can say no to Jazz Summers. But walking around earlier, and actually, strangely, this was one of those events where I don't really come to them very often, but bizarrely, people who know me, I'm always late. Tonight I was early, and I felt very strange wandering around. But as people started to arrive, I started to see all these old friends and faces that I haven't seen for ages and ages. And it kind of got me thinking and reminiscing a little bit. And I thought back to how I started, and when I was an A&R guy at Chrysalis, and I had this sort of passion and desire to be a manager. And I kind of thought, shit, how do you become a manager? What does that mean? And so I looked around Chrysalis at the time, and I checked out all the managers that were the hot managers of the day. So I went through the list of the managers who looked after our bands, Spandau Ballet's manager and Alvin Stardust's manager. I ruled him out fast. And I arrived at a name who occurred with a couple of bands at Chrysalis and was a guy that everyone seemed to think was a thoroughly decent guy and was very successful. And at the time, he was having number ones. And I thought, well, surely he's got a few bob to spare and he could back me as a manager. So I took up the courage and phoned him up, and he was very gracious, took the meeting, and I went round to see him in his office in Putney, and we sat down, and he said, I recognise you from the corridors of Chrysalis, and what can I do for you? And I said, look, I have a dream, I want to be a manager, I've looked at you, I think you're a fantastic manager, you've got a great reputation, and, wow, if I could emulate your success, I'd be a very proud man. And he was a busy man. He said, well, let me think about it. So I let it go for a week, called him back, he was busy. Called him back the next week, he was busy. Called him back a few times, he was always busy, actually. But eventually, he returned my call, and he said, Simon, come in and see me again. And I thought, okay, promising. Went in to see him again, sat down, and he said, Simon, I've got a hunch about you. I think you can do well. I'm going to back you. You can come, you can work from my office, you can bring your PA with you. I'll even pay for your car, and I'll give you expenses, and I'll pay you a small salary. And that was a day, believe me, that was a very special day. And I said, well, actually, I don't need to think about that. How about a yes, here and now? And that person was Chris Morrison. And, really? And, a lot has happened over, more years than I would remember, but about 23. A lot has happened, but I'll never forget that period of my life, those meetings and Chris's words. It's ironic, he said something about those days, and I didn't know he was going to say that, so he kind of half spoiled my speech. But the simple thing is I'd like to say, Chris, this is as much for you as it is for me. And a word out to all of you, just think back to where you came from, think to those roots, and when you think back, it'll put you in a great frame of mind to look forward and go on and do better and greater things. And thank you all very much.